Evening, Wilmers. Sorry, my desk is a little bit tatty at the moment. I've been wearing my Seco mod, the Captain Willard Seco mod, for about a week or so. And I'm changing back to the Seco Paddy, which is the diving International Diving Association or something like that. Hey Syed, how you doing? Hey Patrick, thank you very much, appreciate that, thank you. Hi Jeremy, hey Mark. Mum's pipe is smoking very, very well. I've had about 3 bowls through it so far, and it's doing very well. And I've had actually quite a bit of interest in it, and suggestions that I should make some more of them and maybe have them available for sale, so I might just do that. Hi Daniel. Really, really hot and humid today. I'm just going to enjoy one of those, little frozen cup of juice. Oh, excuse the slurping. But they're really good for a quick cool down. Wish you well for that, Daniel. Hope that goes well. How old is he? '78. Well, the best advice I can give you is to try and be there with him as much as you possibly can whilst he's in hospital, and make sure that he's drinking more than anything else. I mean, they may well have him on fluids and stuff like that, but drinking and eating healthy stuff is extremely, extremely important. But drinking more than anything else. If they've got him on a drip is one thing, but if they haven't, on a fluid drip or glucose drip. But if they haven't, in my experience, just be there and make sure that he's drinking. But wish him well. I hope the treatments go smoothly, and hopefully he gets over it as quickly as possible. Yeah, Mark, the weather's been really, really crazy here as well. We've had very, very hot weather, very humid weather, and then thundering, like torrential downpours, and then back to hot again. It's been very humid. Thank you, Todd, appreciate that. Hey John, B-Dog, how you doing? So the reason why I'm late tonight is because we spent the Friday night and Saturday, we stayed at my daughter's house. She had, as you probably know, she had a baby son, and So there's like a little celebration on Friday night after the Sabbath meal, and people come around and enjoy some good food and drink, and it's just like a little mini party kind of thing. So we moved in to my daughter's house to make life easier, and it was very, very nice. So we spent the whole of the Sabbath there with them, Friday night and Saturday, and we just got home now. The Sabbath goes out really, really late because it goes out with nightfall, and that was like at 10:30. By the time we got home, it was like after 12 o'clock. So we're a bit late. Thanks, John. Thank you, Patrick. Well, Daniel, like I said, try to make sure that he's eating and drinking as normal. But healthy foods, nutritious foods. The hospital will give him food, and he won't, after a while, when he's had the treatment for a while, in the beginning it may be okay, but after he's had the treatment for a few days, he may not feel like eating, and somehow you need to make sure that he does, if he can. Really, really important. Well, the fact that they're saying that if the treatment doesn't work, they'll take part of his bowel, that is kind of good news, because if they're saying that that's an option, then that means that it hasn't spread, and it's not. Hopefully, that means that you'll know the prognosis better than me, obviously. But if they're prepared to do surgery, let's hope it doesn't come to that. But if it does come to that, and they're prepared to do surgery, it means that they feel that there's a reason to do it, and it's a silver lining, for the there's a silver lining in every cloud, but that's a really tough cloud. But at least you've got that. Nobody wants to go through surgery at that age of life, but if they're offering it as an option, then you have to look at it as positively as you can, I guess. Thank you, Syed. I've not heard that wish before. May he be the coolness of his parents' eyes. I've never heard that. That's really, really interesting blessing. That. Thank you very much, Syed. I wanted a bookshop in a 1950s Camoys pot for Patrick. Well, you know what, Daniel? It's now your turn to be his rock. Because once he gets going with that surgery, he's not going to feel great. So you're going to be his rock. You got to be there for him. Have you got any other family that could share time with him? Because the most important thing than anything is to be there. More important than anything else. More important, equally as important as making sure that he takes on plenty of fluid. But you need to be there. With my mum, she was in hospital in and out for the last year. But in the last year, we've been in the hospital, I don't know how many times, in and out, and each time a week, 10 days, sometimes longer, sometimes shorter. But I can say one thing, hand on heart, that between myself, my sister, and my brother, and occasionally my other brother from out of town, she had somebody with her there 24/7, every single day. So she was in hospital probably for the best part of, let's say, 2 months on and off, over a period of 6 months to a year maybe. So she was in hospital maybe half a dozen times for a week at a time, let's say. So we split that. Occasionally I got one of the aunts to help out because we were just worn out, but she was never without somebody there, never. I'm very, very anxious. Not anxious, I'm very desperate to smoke this cigar, but I want to do a video while I'm doing it. This was one of the first cigars that I smoked when I first got into the pipe cigar hobby about 8 years ago, 7, 8 years ago. This is the Monte Cristo White Series. As I say, it's one of the first cigars I smoked, and I seem to remember enjoying it. It was supposedly quite mild, but I really want to know, having now smoked for a few years and my palate sort of being better, I really want to know what that's like. I can't decide what to smoke. I prefer to go for a cigar tonight, but hi Sharon, long time no see. Yeah, doing well, Sharon. To answer your first question, unfortunately, my mother passed away a couple of weeks ago, just under 2 weeks ago, and I was away for about 7, 8 days for a period of mourning, and we are back. I'm about to smoke this is a Perez Carrillo Encore. I think this was one of the years one of the pipe of the cigar #1 cigar for Cigar Aficionado. I think I don't put a great deal of credit to the Cigar Aficionado. I don't go by their ratings really. I think cigars and pipes are a very personal thing, to the personal experience. And if you sort of read the magazine and then try the cigars and see if it makes sense what they're saying, sometimes, very often, you'll find that they just don't make any sense based on your own experience. So it's a good, like everything, like all things like that, it's a good reference to give you a basic sort of outline of what something is like. Maybe to know if it's something that you might enjoy, but then you got to make your own mind up. I find the same with tobacco, what's his name, tobacco reviews online. Those reviews are people's personal experiences, and you just have to see yourself what it's like, but they're good to give you an idea, especially if you read a few reviews of the same tobacco and you can see consistency between the reviews, then yes. Why did that happen? All the planets aligned for Jeremy, and found it repeatable because it was about the pipe and tobacco combination. Never had a better smoke. Wow, that sounds excellent. Yes, the Ramses did sell, John. which I'm very happy about. It took a while, but it wasn't cheap, so I was very happy to see that one get sold. And to be honest, I think they got a very good price. I sold it to them cheaper because I didn't sell it through the website. I sold it direct. I gave them another discount, but it was quite close to what it was on the website for. The website was quite discounted already, and I knocked off a little bit more. So, but it was quite close. So it was a good price overall. Good price for the customer. Good price for me. Well, you certainly get a smoky kind of flavour from Latakia. That's basically what Latakia is all about. But it should be depending on the blend, obviously, but it's usually a smoky, sweet, woodsy kind of flavour. Sam, some of those were gifts. Quite a few of those were gifts. But now I predominantly buy from smokingpipes.com. I don't buy cigars that often these days, but when I do, it's usually from them. Seattle pipe plum pudding. That's a really nice, very nice Latakia blend. I like that. It's really nice and sweet. That's 768 Lovat. Yeah, that was a very nice pipe. Justin, thank you. The Old Dominion is very nice. I don't really get a McClelland's flavour from that or anything close to it. It's just a very good quality vapor. It's nice and sweet and smooth, but to me, I don't get McClelland's. Do you get the vinegary, clovey kind of flavour from that Bull Moose? Hey Cliff, how you doing? You do get that flavour, okay. I'll have to try mine again. I never got that from mine. I got a very nice, I think it was 8 ounces or 4 ounces gifted from James. Very kindly sent me a while back. But I guess there's also, you do get different flavor profiles from different batches, and they do batches, they're kind of a small batch, if you like. Truth be told, the stuff that Watch City Cigar put out, it is really small batch tobacco. They just don't market it like that, but it is small batch tobacco. And if they did market it like GLPs or Cornell and Deal, then perhaps they would be a lot more famous than they are. But I actually quite like that they do it in a normal tobacconist kind of way, which is they produce their own tobacco, they do it in small batches, and they sell it when they have it. The hype that surrounds Cornell and Deal, I get it from a marketing point of view. It's genius. It works well, and their stuff sells out whenever they do a small batch. But it's almost like if they're reserving their best tobacco for the small batch, it's almost like they're saying that the other stuff is not great, but this stuff is great. Whereas some Watch City Cigar, they're producing tobaccos of their regular lines at the highest quality. So that's why it's become so famous. Old Dominion and some of the other red Virginias they've got, they've become famous because they're great tobacco. That's it. Not because it's called small batch or anything like that. Yeah, Justin, I do that quite often. Finish off a cigar and a pipe. I would imagine, Mark, that Simply Orange and Rougarou, the difference being is that people just prefer Rougarou, so it sells out. I would imagine that they make it, the same kind of thing. Hey, Steve. It's just that the Rougarou sells out more, I reckon. I haven't tried all of the Watch City Cigar stuff. I've tried a few of the blends. So far, out of the ones that I've tried, without a doubt, Old Dominion has been my favourite. Andrew Sirigliano sent me a bunch of samples, which I still have to get through. I think I have them out in the garage, actually. But I actually have 2 guests in my garage at the moment. The pipe of the year. Well, I'm happy to say that all the pipes that were waiting to be shipped have been shipped. Oh, nice one, Mark. Hope you enjoy them. One of my sons is staying here at the moment. He's just vacated the apartment that he was in, and he's looking for somewhere new to go. So in the meantime, he's stopping here. But he has 2 cats, 2 Bengal cats, and we don't really want them in the house. They're not used to this house, and we just don't want them scratching everything to bits. So they're in the garage. So there won't be any rats in that garage, that I can guarantee you. He has a channel. Sorry, he has Instagram. You can check him out, give him a follow. It's called the Bengal Brothers Official. So it's the underscore Bengal underscore Brothers underscore official. There they are. The Bengal boys. Yeah, one of them's called Mango because it's like his coat is like orange stripy tigery type of design on his coat. Very cool looking. Well, Esoterica, Justin, is it's expensive stuff. It's rare, and depending on which Esoterica you found, that's why if it's Penzance or Stonehaven, then $300 for 16 ounces is actually not a bad price. Well, I've always said, Daniel, that if I were to get a dog, it would be a Labrador or that kind of animal. But I've since, although they're a little bit small, a friend of mine has a Pomeranian, and it's very, very cute. Not just cute, but it's actually very friendly. I don't know if it's just that particular one that's friendly, but it's a very, very friendly dog. It's a small little dog. It's just a ball of fur, really. It's like a rat with fur, but very, very cute. But I've since also seen a toy poodle, it's called. I don't know if it's got the same name in America or not, but it's a dog which we dog sit for occasionally so that its owners can go out without him. And so that it comes here every so often. My daughter, she's mad over the dog. She's desperate to get a dog, but so anyway, it's a toy poodle, it's called. Also a very, very friendly dog. Very friendly dog. I'm not that familiar, Sam, with the different breeds of cats. It's just that these are my sons, and they're actually indoor cats. He's trying to get them to be used to the outdoors, but they're like little mini tigers. They really are. The way they prowl around, the way they're sometimes on, you see the way they dip their shoulders when they're trying to sort of stalk something, or if they're stalking each other. But they're really quite physical. I like the dog also that Jason Mouton has got, that he's called Briar. I don't know what dog breed that is, but that's a nice dog as well. Is that a dachshund? Is Penzance a beagle? Right, hi Phil. Is Penzance worth the hype, Justin? Well, I'll tell you what I've always told people, and I've been consistent with this. If you enjoy the chase, if you're somebody that has got plenty of time and plenty of money to pursue those very difficult to get those unicorn blends, then do that and enjoy the chase. And when you get it, you'll enjoy the reward because it's a very nice blend. But if you don't enjoy that and you haven't got the money, then don't do it, and don't worry about it. That's the main thing. Don't think that I wish I had the money all the time, because there's plenty other blends which are just as good. Penzance is very nice. But there's plenty other blends out there which are just as good. I really wouldn't worry about it. Don't lose any sleep over it. Cliff, did you get your leaky caravan sorted out? Your RV? Hey, Troy. If you want something like that, then C&D Quiet Nights is a very nice blend. Daniel can tell you that because it's his favorite blend. Star of the East, also, I forget which one's Cornell and Deal and which one is GLP's, but they're both very nice blends. You could try Seattle Pipe Club Plum Pudding. It may not be like Penzance, but it's a very nice Latakia blend. And Northwoods is another one of my favorite Latakia blends from Boswell Pipes. You can buy that easily if you're in the United States. A very good and affordable tobacco. You know, if you like to try Northwoods and you like it, there's no need to look elsewhere. I generally speaking do not buy any Latakia blends anymore because I have Northwoods and I like it. And I don't smoke Latakia blends that often anymore, so if I do, I know if I smoke Northwoods I'll be satisfied. I'm lucky in that I do have 1820 Flake, which is like the UK version of Penzance. It's very, very similar. It's not precisely the same, but it's very similar. And if I wanted Stonehaven, then I could try Rich Dark Flake here in the UK. It's not easy to get here either. 1820 Flake and Rich Dark Flake is in quite short supply these days. I've smoked Condor, but not enough to be able to give you an opinion of it. Mississippi River is another one, but I personally prefer Plum Pudding. I find Mississippi River a little bit bland. And maybe it's supposed to be. I'll rephrase that. I find Mississippi River to be subtle. Is that okay? It's all about how you use your words, isn't it? Amazing how powerful words can be in delivering a message. Well, Phil, your long cut is on its way. It formally left this abode on Friday. So hopefully in the next week or so you should get it. 10 days. Daniel, I haven't even started with the pipes. I haven't sold a single one of his pipes yet. I've got about somewhere between 60 and 70 pipes from that consignor. I haven't even put them up yet. I haven't showed them. I've been so busy with everything else that's going on in my personal life that I had recorded another tobacco video because there's still a fair amount of the tobaccos left, and I thought I would do one more video. I did record the video, but I never got to publish it on YouTube, I might well do it again. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, Justin, especially if you like the ritual of preparing it, then plugs are going to be great for you. Um, I prefer flakes over all other tobaccos. Yeah, I'm sure there is going to be an author in there somewhere. I think there's a Sabina Santos might be an authorship. I'm not sure. But that won't be cheap. It's a Sabina Santos pipe, so it won't. I can't imagine it'll be cheap. I mean, they'll be cheap for what they are, but they won't be cheap in the grand scheme of things. Yeah, I mean, probably here as well, Syed. Most of the stuff is probably ribbon cut everywhere in the world, but I think that once you really get into it and you try all the various different cuts, I think a lot of people end up preferring flakes. I'm not sure whether they actually are better, whether they taste better or not. Just for me, maybe it's part of. For me, I think the most important reason why I like flakes is because it gives me the ability to rub it out to the consistency that I prefer. So some people I know, they get a tobacco, they'll stick it in a coffee grinder and liquidize it until it's dust, and then they'll put it in their pipe. That's what they prefer. Some people will get a flake and literally fold it in half and put it in the pipe like that, fold and stuff method. I like to rub mine out, but quite chunky. That way it doesn't smoke too fast, doesn't get too hot, and it just seems to work best for me. I find that you still get a good mix of tobacco, even though it's a chunkier cut. But it's just whatever people prefer. Hey, Advox. Advox, do you want me to show that thing now? I haven't done it yet. Or would you prefer me to do a separate video? Now it's good. Alright, so Dances with Advox very, very kindly offered to make me a jar, a wooden jar, and he knocked it out of the park. Would you call it a tobacco jar, Advox? I don't know what the wood is. You can explain it as we go along. So this, I will say this, that Advox was in touch with me all the way through with the wood selections and the design and all that kind of thing, the staining. So very, very, very pleasant experience, very pleasant to work with. So I should imagine that he'll be, putting these up for sale in the future. So I would highly recommend getting in touch if you like it. And when you see it, I think you'll like it. I haven't yet fully unpacked it, but I had a little look inside. And a nice little container. It's a good size for small cigars, maybe. I haven't yet taken this apart, this tape. Look at that. Isn't that cool? Little jar with a kind of a filigree kind of finish here. That must take a lot of work. Got a good seal. You're quite right. There is a very good seal on that. So that probably is water airtight. I'm just not sure about what the inside coating is, the varnish. What have you coated that with on the inside? Mike? What, it looks like it's varnished. Hopefully we won't wrap the acid in the back. CA glue. Yeah, I'm sure it's food safe. I was thinking more in terms of any odors and stuff like that, but I think once it's left open a bit, I can see it's already a lot better just having it open for a second or two. Probably just wants a little bit of airing. Very, very nice. I mean, this must have been very, very delicate work. I don't know how you've done that, whether you've literally done each hole separately or you've got some way of doing that. Hello? You can text me if you want or email it to me. Alright, bye. Mike, if you want to talk about it, say a little bit about it, let people know what it is. Pretty good job shaping the pipe as well. I could drill that and smoke it maybe. That's really cool. That has got a very good fit actually, yeah. Teak box on the inside, beech mesh cherry pipe. it's really nice, a very nice piece that will look beautiful on anybody's desk really. And you can do different combinations, so you can do dark on the mesh, light on the inside box, dark, light. You can just swap that around, and Mike's very, very, very customer friendly. And that's very similar to a mason jar, to a, is it a 4 ounce or something like that, the classic mason jar size. Very, very similar. I would imagine 4 ounces will go in there, no problem at all. And I don't know if the teak, well, because you've coated the inside, it probably will be airtight. But I should imagine it's the perfect thing to have on your desk for a regular tobacco that you smoke regularly. You know, Mike, it's time you started putting some of these up by video, and I'll give you a shout out for your channel so people can get in touch. You can put your channel name out here. Oh, well, it is, there you go, Dances with Aardvarks. I can't remember if you've done videos or not. Alright, so there are a couple of shorts on his channel. That's it. But Mike, whenever you're ready to start doing videos, I think people will be interested. You let me know when you're ready, Mike, and I'll start featuring it on my Instagram, Facebook, when you're geared up to take orders. And hopefully you'll be run off your feet making these. Well, look, the best thing to do is to take orders until you feel comfortable, then to close the book. All that does is make your stuff more wanted by people, so there's no harm in doing that. Close your book and say orders will start again in a month's time, or whatever it is you need. When you've got a good product, it will sell itself. And just because it's not available right now, you'll have people who will wait for it, don't worry. So you know how long it takes you to make one. So, you know, take orders as long as you feel comfortable taking, and then close it. Yeah, Andrew. That's one thing you don't want to do, as Phil says, is flood a website with 50 of them, because then, you know, it's just not going to create that kind of want. Just do them as fast as you can, as you're able to make them, and don't feel pressured, because what happens then is that you end up cutting corners, and then the product goes down in quality, and then the desire will slow down. So just stay true to yourself, do the way you want it to be done, and then just stick to it. If you can only do one a month, then just do one a month. If you can do 10 a month, that's fine. And then as long as you feel confident, you don't want to be having orders 6 months in advance, because what happens is that you start to feel pressure, you start to get anxious, and when you have a long list, it's a pressure on your head that I've got to get to these, I've got to get these done, I've got to get these done. And it becomes, it's very nice having a big order book. You know, I've been through times when I've had a couple of pages of orders which I've had to get through, but I tend to make pipes quite fast, on average a pipe a day. So I get through the order list quite well. And if I don't do any of my regular lines that I put on my website just for a week or two, then I can get through my list. But I do find that when I've got a long list waiting, it just gives me pressure. And I much prefer to work at my own pace without pressure. If you have pressure, it affects your artistic flair, if you like, and you tend to do things in cut corners. So that's just something to consider. Yeah, exactly what Sam says. Don't turn something that you enjoy doing into a chore, into a pressure. I'll be honest with you, in my photography, my career is now kind of winding to a close. More to do with my age and to do with the fact that there's a lot more photographers in the market now. But also because my processing time was a little bit too long than it should have been. And that was because I took on whatever jobs came my way. And I ended up having a long queue of jobs which had to get processed. And they became a headache. They became a chore. They became a pressure because I like to be paid when I've done my job. And I don't want people sort of waiting and thinking that guy's got, although I don't take money before I've done a pipe, people offer me deposits and offer me money. I just want to get paid when the job's done. I don't like taking money in advance. So especially if I was to take money, I find that to be a pressure. I don't want somebody else's money whilst they're waiting for something. So that's why I don't take money in advance. Absolutely, Phil. I find processing exactly this. I find it a pressure. I enjoy doing the jobs most of the time, not always, but most of the time I enjoy doing the actual event itself. But the processing is a chore. I actually don't mind the processing part. The biggest chore is going through 2,000 photos and choosing the ones that I'm going to use. That takes the most time, takes more time than everything. No, I don't find myself missing the photography. What I do find is that when I'm going to an event myself as a guest, I was at a wedding recently, and there's a few parts of the ceremony that I enjoy where they're very emotional and I kind of feel part of the occasion. And I remember sitting as a guest, whilst in the Jewish weddings they have a ceremony of blessings under a canopy, and for me that's one of the most crucial times, and I really enjoy being part of that. And all right, Cliff, have a good one. And so I was at a wedding recently, and I said to whoever it was who was sitting next to me, I said, man, I'd love to just jump in there and start taking photos. That I do get sometimes when I'm a guest at a wedding. I kind of feel a bit of envy, like I'd like to be doing it. But when I'm working here or just not doing photography, I don't feel like, ah man, I wish I was doing photography now. No. What is this material, Aardvarks? The stem material? Is that plastic or is it ebonite? What is it? Oh, it's wood, isn't it? I can see the grain. That's cool. That's stained wood, it looks like. Yeah, it looks like it. Yeah, that's right, exactly. I would imagine, again, I don't know how you do this, but I would imagine that it's kind of heart and mouth moments all the time, that you're scared that one of these things would crack, one of the joints. There's so many of them that surely that's a risk. Okay, you could glue it back, it's not the end of the world, but still. You know what? It's like everything. When you know, you've got the right machinery and you know how to do it. You know how to do it. I was trying to figure out how to do the helix that Ian Walker does on his pipes. You know, the spiral on his pipes. I haven't figured out. I mean, I just did it by hand. The pipe that I did it by hand with a Dremel. It looked okay, but it wasn't. Still not as precise as how he does it. Not as good as what he does. Not by any stretch of the imagination. Golden rule calipers. The layout is fairly straightforward. Yeah, but the I get laying it out, but I'm talking about the actual doing it. I'm just curious to know how he actually does it. Does he use a? Would he be using a Dremel as well, or similar, or is there a way to do it on the lathe? I have watched on YouTube people that do spiral posts, for staircases, for banisters, and that's very interesting to watch that. And that's literally done using indexing, and then without turning the motor on, just hand turning the lathe with a very sharp, very sharp chisel. I don't think that's something that I could do. I don't really have the right tools for that. I'm just wondering what tool he's using to actually cut the shank. What's he doing? Is he doing that by hand, or is he doing it on a lathe somehow? I mean, Lee Von Erck, he does also a similar kind of idea. It's not a spiral, but he does have that kind of laid out thing across the shank. Beal Pen Wizard. I'll have to look at that. I'm looking at a very quick video, but I'm still not seeing how they do spirals, but I'll have to look into that. I'd like to see that your router lathe, Mike. If you send me some pictures and the type of thing it can do, I might be interested. If you can do that whilst holding a pipe, and you can still center the shank, that would might be interesting. Not that I've got anywhere to put it. I didn't hear thunder, actually. Daniel, I have, hey Adam, I have tried my hand at mixing other blends, but that's the only one that's really worked in a great kind of way. Other than that, I've done vanilla roll cake with vanilla roll cake with Holy Golden Slice, but that's not really more of a. It's not really a new blend. It's more of a, just diluting the vanilla roll cake. Whereas London Fog is actually, it's just a different kind of blend, which just works so well. I haven't personally tried infusing with bourbon. People have done that. I've seen some experiments on YouTube with people doing it. But if you can get the Seattle Pipe Club plum pudding barrel aged, and that's got a bit of bourbon in there. It's actually quite rich in bourbon. I mean, I've tried it once. I think I found it quite rich. One of my favorite whiskey infused blends is Blend 131 by Solani. I hardly ever smoke it these days, but I went through a period when I smoked it on a regular basis. It was in my regular rotation. For me, that's got one of the most legitimate, authentic whiskey flavors of any other tobacco. That is topped with a single malt whiskey, and it tastes like it. It really does. It's just that it ends up being an aromatic essentially. It's a ribbon cut or whatever you call them. I always forget what you call that cut. What is the cut that you get classic aromatics with? You know, the little flakes of, not flake as in tobacco flakes, but the little chunks of tobacco. I always forget. Frogmorton Cellar, yeah, but I didn't mention it simply because you can't really get it anymore, so no point in disappointing him. Shag, yeah, or rough cut. I think rough cut is what I was thinking of. I always forget that. It's not really a shag. A shag is really a very, very thin ribbon, isn't it? It's more like a cigarette tobacco type thing. I've not made one of those, Daniel, so I can't answer the question. But I should imagine it's done exactly like that. I don't think it's cube cut, because cube cut is a thicker, boxier kind of cut, as the name suggests. I think rough cut is probably more accurate. Meerschaum is not really like clay. The finished product might be a little bit like clay or porcelain, but it's actually a foam, is what it is. It's a hardened foam. And when Meerschaum carvers use it, it's actually very, very soft. Even it's maybe a bit soft like clay, if you like, when they're carving it. It's why they're able to carve it with such intricate designs. Are you based in the States, Justin? If you are, then you've got such an amazing journey ahead of you. I mean, the just exhaustive selection of tobaccos you've got access to is just unbelievable. Seriously, do not worry about getting esoterica blends. Yeah, you can turn Meerschaum. You wouldn't carve it like that, but you could turn it to get the rough, round shape. I'm smoking a Perez Carrillo Encore. I had, this is the last of a box that I had. It's the last cigar in the box. This was one of Cigar Aficionado's, I'm not sure if it was the #1 cigar or very high up a few years ago. I wasn't that impressed, if I'm honest with you. The only reason why I'm smoking it is because my New World Cigar Tapador is so full of cigars that I want to do videos of. Almost every single one is a cigar that I have yet to do a video on because I've not smoked it before. And any cigar that I have that I've not smoked before, I like to do a video on it, like a first impressions kind of idea. But this one is the last of a box of 10. I wouldn't buy them again. They're okay, they're perfectly pleasant, but they're just not anything special. Why it made it up in the top numbers in Cigar Aficionado, I've got no idea, but not to my palate. Yeah, so you can have block meerschaum or pressed meerschaum. Pressed meerschaum is basically meerschaum powder, meerschaum dust, which is pressed into a block and then it's carved. Block meerschaum is essentially a single piece of meerschaum which is carved. So the absorbency and the quality of, and if you're into colouring up meerschaum, then that will work a lot better on block meerschaum, whereas pressed meerschaum is it's not it's just not the same. It won't colour up as well. The absorbency won't be as good. I think it will be heavier as well, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, Andrew, I was saying a bit earlier on that I find that the whole Cigar Aficionado ratings, a bit hit and miss, really. Yeah, I mean, if you're going to pay 20 or 30 pounds for a meerschaum, there's a good chance it's going to be a pressed meerschaum. If you're going to pay, say, from £120 up, you could still get pressed ones, but most of them will be block meerschaum. And any website that's selling it will usually say block meerschaum because they want you to know that you're getting a good product. And I would say that anything between £100 and £150 or dollars may well be block meerschaum, but it's the stem that you need to look at, not the meerschaum. It's the stem and the tenon that you need to look at. 2 points. On the tenon front, it's quite common for the mortise to come loose, and on the stem front, they really are not very good at making stems, and so you end up having, unless you get from one of the big makes and you pay $250 to $300, then yes, you'll get a good pipe. But if you're paying a little bit lower, you end up getting stems where the bite zone is much too thick and you just don't enjoy it. Yes, Daniel, those are all hand carved. They're done with little tiny picks and carving tools when the meerschaum is soft. So an Unpaul pipe is Uncle Paul. $12. Is that $12 or 12 buckets? Bucks, I thought so. Well, I should imagine that briar pipe carvers prefer to make briar, and meerschaum pipe carvers prefer to make meerschaum. Presumably why they went into that line of work. Exactly. Most of the carvers in Turkey will be doing meerschaum because that's what they have there in Turkey. Block meerschaum only comes from one region in the world. And they do some wonderful work. Some of the best carvers are it's artistry of the highest caliber. It's because everything is focused on the meerschaum that you end up having a lesser quality on the stem. But there are some high quality companies that will have silver on them, and they'll have ebonite stems sometimes. Those ones are probably fantastic. I mean, Bremen pipe smoker, he smokes predominantly meerschaums, and I should imagine that his pipes are of the higher quality. I have two meerschaum pipes, which you've all seen before. So this one is the Pipe Club of London from 2018, I think it is. Yeah, 2018. This was the pipe of the year, 2018, and it's got a beautiful carving of the Pipe Club of London's logo on the front. and it's got a silver band. And this one you have to open and close anti-clockwise. No, sorry, clockwise. And the filter goes in there, because and when you close it, you also have to do it clockwise. If you do anti-clockwise, you end up unwinding the mortise. But if you have a look at that button, it's really, really thick. But it actually smokes beautifully. It's a very, very good smoking pipe. Hey Ed, how you doing? Long time no see. It's a beautiful smoking pipe, and it's got a little bit of coloration on it, but I just don't smoke it often enough to really color it up in quick sort of shape. But it is a good smoking pipe, I will say that. I was tempted to sort of file that down, but because it's been drilled not with a tapered stem, so the hole is too thick there. If I file it, I'll probably file through it. And the other one is one that I commissioned, which is sort of a bent billiard with my logo on the front. LCS Bryce with a pipe in there, which is my logo. So those are the only two Meerschaum pipes that I have. What I also have is a beautiful Meerschaum tamper and pick, made by the same guy who did the commissioned one, and that is actually very, very nice. Beautiful piece. And this one you can see is hollowed out. I find that to be a great skill, how they do that. That's the thing about New World cigars, you can put them down for quite a few minutes and it'll still be going. Cuban cigar would have gone out a long time ago. I think I would smoke a Mir more often if I would buy one with a proper stem. Tongue sticks to it, really. I have had actually a Meerschaum lined pipe. I'm trying to remember the brand. Might have been a Chacombe. I'm not sure. They're quite. You see them as kind of starter packs sometimes. I bought it came with a pouch, a pipe pouch, and some. It came with a check tool, I think, and some pipe cleaners. It's basically a pipe, but it comes with a pouch, with a hard pouch, so you can travel with it, because it was Meerschaum lined. So it was a briar pipe, but with a Meerschaum lining. But I didn't enjoy it, and I ended up selling it. Okay. Troy. What I have actually seen with Dunhill pipes in the Dunhill store in central London is that if you want to try out a pipe, they have little sleeves which they put over the stem, and you can put it in your mouth and try it. I'm not sure if they still do that, but when I was there, I don't remember how many years ago, I saw those little sleeves, and I thought that was a cool idea. Black Cavendish, if it's cased, it'll be an aromatic. If it's got flavouring in it, it's aromatic. If it's just got sugar, so I'd say if it's got a topping rather than a casing, because most tobaccos have casings, usually sugared water of some kind or maple water. McBaron's tobaccos all have maple flavoured concoction, which is probably mostly water with a slight sugary maple added to it. Most tobaccos have a casing, because they'd probably be too, I don't want to say bitter, but they just mostly have a casing. But in terms of toppings, if a Black Cavendish has a flavouring added to it, then that would be an aromatic. I'm no expert on that, it's just what I'm assuming. Somebody else can correct me if I'm wrong on that. But it's basically just burley which has been heated, which turns it black. Is that Ewan Reese, Phil? Barclay Rex. That's a good question, Daniel. I don't know how you would put those statistics together. But I feel that most artisan pipes are usually around a 1/4 bent. I don't know where Ewan Reese is, I just know that they do the 3-star tobaccos. I think they've got different colours, 3-star blue, 3-star red. I've never smoked them, I don't think, but there are a lot of fans of that stuff. It's like, I think it's a bit like Carter Hall, that kind of idea, like an over-the-counter type style American tobacco. Yeah, I think that's more, if you look at the artisanal carvers, sort of the high-end ones, I think most of them would do 1/4 bent. Bent pipes lend themselves to being more, you can be more creative with the shaping when you've got some kind of bend in the shank. When you're doing a straight pipe, I find it harder to make it a creative design. What about you, Phil? Do you find that as well? That your mind's eye can be more creative with a bent pipe than with a straight pipe? Or is that just me? From a drilling point of view, yeah, sure. The straight pipe's going to be easier. I'm talking about from a creative side of things. If you want to stay current and you want your pipes to be in demand, you've got to be creative. And I find, generally speaking, that most creative looking pipes are usually bent. The vast majority of my pipes would have yeah, exactly what Phil says. That's what I find too. Truth is, even if the pipe that I'm making is virtually straight, or it could be a straight pipe, I will still put a little bit of a bend in there, because I think it actually smokes better that way, not from a technical point of view, but from a clenching point of view. Even if you're not doing full bent, which is a proper clenching pipe, but the balance of the pipe will still be better if it's slightly bent than if it's straight. That's how I find things. So even in my mum's pipe, that could be a straight pipe, but I've put a little bit of a bend on it, and you've got a subtle bend there on the stem. It just lends itself to smoking better. The Ramsey's pipe, yeah. Yeah, it makes all the difference, John. Essentially that Canadian is a straight pipe, but and where I saw that first, doing a very slight, very, very slight bend on a Canadian pipe, was with, I saw that with Ashton pipes. I once had, years ago, I had an Ashton, a Bill Taylor Ashton Canadian, before I was smoking filtered pipes, and it was a billiard, well, a Canadian, so a billiard bowl, but the long thin shank with the most subtle bend in the shank and in the stem. But it, number one, makes it look very cool, and you can also, when you're shaping the stem, so you can shape the stem so that the bottom of the stem is almost straight, but the top of it curves down a little bit, so that also it creates the look of a bend, but there isn't actually a bend there. It's just the way you've shaped the stem. So imagine this was straight. So here, if you look at the center of the saddle, if you imagine that central line, there's more meat on the top half than the bottom half. So that when you come down to meet imagine this was straight. So when you taper that down to meet the button, it actually looks curved because there's more meat on the top half, which you have to then taper down to. So it looks like it's got a very slight curve. The challenge in straight pipes. Concentricity. I don't know. It sounds like a good word. Concentricity. The centers of two objects with a clearly defined center. So that's partly, Daniel, with a 320, there's two reasons why it's got such a fat, thick stem. Number one is because it's a fat, thick stem. And then also because of the way it's shaped, yes. They start with a fat, thick shank, so the stem that meets it is a fat, thick stem. One of the pipes that I've done where you see the taper starting right at the top of the shank and then tapering all the way through the shank right down to the button of the stem. I did a commission for somebody. He wanted a pipe in the shape of a pipe that was smoked by Dizzy Gillespie. Yes, Phil. Yeah, the Hawkbill too. Anyway, so this commission that I did was a tough commission to do, because all I had to go on was a very, very unclear, blurry picture of Dizzy Gillespie smoking this pipe. And I actually have two attempts at the pipe. The first one, the customer didn't like it. He said it wasn't his fault, because the pipe had a flaw which I had to get around, so I couldn't make the exact shape that I wanted to make. But the second one I did was on the button. It came out stunning, and I'm almost jealous of that guy because it's such a unique shape. It really turned out beautiful. I was very, very happy with that pipe. Hopefully that guy's enjoying the pipe. It was a tough pipe to make, a lot of work, a lot of time. That's cool, Patrick. I hope you see him smoking it from time to time. The 320s is a pipe that I would like, but it's that stem which is the issue, because the taper is so quick, so swift, that I find often that it's just too thick too quickly. So you have most tapered stems, it's going to be a slow progression where it gets wider and wider and wider. But with a 320, it just gets fat very quickly. So when you're clenching the pipe, you just kind of feel like that it's all too thick. That's the problem. I'm kind of dancing around the terms that I'm using here to keep it acceptable, Phil. Hey David, how you doing? Who bought the whale pipe? Is that pipe in your gallery on the website? Which pipe? Which pipe are you talking about, John? Yeah, if you get the military mount one, Daniel, then it will be thinner. But the problem with that is that I can't imagine that it would be very well balanced pipe. Maybe in the 321 shape, which is a smaller version. The breach, yeah. Who's got the breach? So the 320. Oh, the Dizzy Gillespie. Is it in my gallery? Yeah, yeah. Did I call it the Dizzy Gillespie? Did I give it that name? Let me have a look. It should be in the gallery. I don't know how far back it is. Do you know what pipe number it is, John? Alright, I'll find it and I'll show it to you. I hope it's in the gallery. Have you seen it in the gallery? I don't put every single pipe in there. Thankfully, my website is still up and running. I had a bit of a to-do with the website hosting company. They sent me an invoice. When I first started the website, I couldn't believe it was 3 years ago because the deal I got was for 3 years. I paid for 3 years hosting. And the 3 years is almost up. So they sent me a renewal and it was an absolute fortune. It was double the money. And I couldn't do it. It's just not the kind of money that I've got. And I had to get in touch with them, and I struck a deal with them, and I got it for actually slightly less than I'd paid the first time. They really helped me out very well, I have to say. So the website's safe for another 3 years. I've got a feeling that that pipe is not on my gallery, because it's usually the pipes that I put up for sale on the website go on. I don't always put the commissioned pipes on because I don't need to sell them, they're commissioned. Sometimes I put them on because I want them there for reference for customers to see if they want to have a pipe made like that, but I don't always put them on. I should really, but I don't. It was actually made around the time that your Ramses was made, John. Because I can see the first version of that Dizzy Gillespie pipe. That was pipe 527. So let me search YouTube. Maybe it's pipe 528. I've got a feeling it might be a couple of numbers down. Nope, not 528. Let's try 9. Nope. 530. Nope. 531. Up to 535. No. So 536 was the Ramses. 537. No. No. 540. No. 541. No. 2. No. 3. No. 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 There we go. So this thumbnail, that's the picture that I had to go on. So it's a tiny, yeah, I should have hashtagged it. So there's me talking about the pipe. So you can see the shape there. It was a very interesting, like a forward canted panel with the shank tapering from the shank, the junction there, all the way down the stem. And I think the pipe will come up any second now. My old desk. There's the pipe. There's me talking about the taper. There was a little bit of plateau on that corner there, I remember that. And a very, very fine rustication on the bottom. There was a little black spot or something on the bottom there, so I rusticated it. Yeah, the rustication really was beautiful. It was almost like a textured leather look to it. It was really good. Claude, hi, haven't seen you in ages. I hope you're well. The transition from bolt to shank, yeah, especially on a panel, it's very, very hard to get it exactly balanced. Yeah, so those on a panel, that one was probably done either with sandpaper or, I mean, I would have done the rough shaping on the disc using one of my small discs. But hey Cole, how you doing? But I would have probably refined it with paper, with sandpaper. Do you know what number it is, Daniel, the pipe? They really are difficult. I mean, even the one that I showed you there, the edges around the chamber were not perfectly equal. You know, it's very hard to do that and then keeping the walls equal. It's tough. Paneled pipes are not easy. Truth be told, the best paneled pipes are going to be machine made because, you know, they're going to be equal because they're made by machine. I'll have a quick look, Daniel, see if I can find it. That's the one with the Ivorite on the rim, am I right? I don't know if it'll be on the gallery though. It was a mortar pipe, right? This is something similar that I made. Took a while to sell. This was a large author pipe, and I tried my hand at doing inserts on the bowl. There was one flaw on one of the sides, so I thought I'd try my hand at doing that. Really not easy at all. So I'm really not one of these sort of, you know, certainly with the Danish pipe carvers, you would get quite often, if there was a flaw on the bowl, that you'd have a little carving, a little leaf carving or something like that to cover the floor, and it would just be random, and my mind doesn't work that way. I need symmetry. So because I did that, I had to then do it around. I made three, one there, one at the front, and then one on the other side. So you can see there, and you can see this one, I had to do a little bit of a fill there because I didn't get the hole precise. So you can see that dark spot there above it was because the hole was a little bit wider and I had to fill that. And then the rim is, I've got some Ivorite I've got some very wide gauge Ivorite rods which I use for doing this. I want to actually do one again, but the fit and finish on that was superb. I was very happy with that. I'll see if I can find. This was a nice pipe. I had a lot of positive feedback on this one. This was a Dracula pipe. I did that thing recently with the central band, smooth band in the middle of the rustication. This pipe here is one of the best straight grains I've ever had, and really if I was to do that now, that would probably be a 5-star. It was a 4-star in those days. Unbelievable grain. It did get the super grain stamp, and I've spoken about that before. I don't use the super grain stamp often at all. It's rarer than a 4-star, but the grain on this was just phenomenal. There you can see the super grain stamp. I've only used it a handful of times, but the grain on this is just something else. A beautiful stem as well. I must be honest, when the radiator pipes came out, they were quite popular as a fad, but I just didn't see it continuing. I haven't seen them really being sold very much. Yeah, this was the first attempt at the Dizzy Gillespie pipe, but I had to trim it down, and it became quite flat. So it's got the same taper there on the shank and stem, but it really didn't work out. It's still a nice pipe, and it sold. Had some nice grain on it, but it was a little bit too. The base was too round, and it just had more of a pot, like a panelled pot look to it, rather than that tall. Look at that grain, it's beautiful. That was the first attempt at it. This one was a beautiful pipe. I'm sorry, I'm doing another retrospective, but look at the grain on that. I mean, that is so natural looking. That's a carve blast, but that is so natural looking. It was a beautiful pipe, that pipe. There's a beautiful carving on both sides, and a gorgeous wavy rim. These for a while went very well, sort of the carve blasted billiards and Canadians. They went very well for a while. This was an interesting pipe as well. A bit like the old Chariton cup and saucer. It's a more of a Magnum cup and saucer. This was a commission, actually. The carve blast base. Did a lot of shields for a while, these pipes. This was a nice pipe. The grain on this one was amazing. Here's another one where you do something to sort of get past the floor and you end up with something beautiful. I should really do this again. I mean, this was a stunning pipe. These markings on it were just stunning. Look how it meets it, you know, the direction of the carving. You can see that's flowing in that direction, and this one flowed off it in the other direction. Just had some really beautiful grain on the side. A nice stem. Did a few mortars back then as well, which went very well. Somehow the mortar with blue just seems to work very well. That was a gorgeous little pipe. I forget, you know, I've said this before when I was doing a retrospective, I just forget the vast array of shapes and designs and pipes that I've made. I think somebody asked before, you know, what I think it was Adam who said, what is my sort of style? It's not so much in the shape, but in the way you do them, because there's such a diverse range of pipes here. There's your pipe, John. Your calabash. This was a horn that I did. I don't think I've done one since, but that worked out really nice. But the thing about this one was it's 9mm, and that is very, very tough. Hey Mike, Stamper Tamper, how you doing? That was really hard to do and somehow still keep a balance. It's still not classic horn because it had to be quite wide over here to accommodate 9mm. So if you look at the side view, you can see there that it's quite beefy over here. But still, it was a beautiful pipe. These two are interesting. This was a commission from the same customer who ordered the same pipe but smaller. So that's a smaller version of that. There's a nice little ring on there, horn ring. Did a few of these drip waxes, sort of the cartoon style drip waxes. That was beautiful, that pipe. That was a commission, I think. No, it went up for sale by the looks of it. Some people call this a honey pot. But just the exaggerated roundness is almost cartoonish. I just love the way that looks. Good question, Daniel. I don't know. I mean, the calla lily has got to be up there. This one was a beautiful pipe as well. Some pipes, they just work, you know, the dimensions, everything about them just works. This one here, beautiful pipe, nice grain. This one was a commission from John, all bried up. This was a bow-gnawed bent volcano. Also quite challenging, a long shank. To drill that so that you still have enough briar on the bottom there, the angle is quite challenging. And that was the first Crown series coming up. So you've got that one there with the castle brick effect, this one with the black armband, of course the Queen pipe there, Her Majesty the Queen. That was an amazing pipe. This was, I think, the first one I did in the series, and then it kind of grew from there. I hadn't had it in mind to do a Crown series, but when I did that one, you can see how the brick effect evolved. So this one, where it was literally scored with the lines to make the brick effect, but here it's actually carved, and this has got layers and layers going on to create that brick effect. So if you remember this particular pipe, this was when the Queen passed away, so this pipe had a lot of elements which related to the Queen. The bricks She lived 96 years. There's 96 bricks carved on the pipe. These battlements on the top, the little sort of castle effect on the top, I think there were 14 of those, which represented the 14 countries that she ruled over as head of state. And here you've got two 5-pence pieces, one on this side and one on that side. This is the newer 5-pence piece of her, no, this is the older one of her younger head, younger figure, younger image. And on the other side was the newer 5-pence piece, which was the older of the Queen when she was older. And here, these rings on the stem, there were 7 rings for the 7 decades that she ruled. Record-breaking time as a monarch. Yeah, so that's the older 5-pence piece, and that's the newer one with the older image. That was a special piece, that one. I'd like to see them again, you know. I really feel that they're that part of me. I'd like to see them either smoked or not smoked. I'd like to know if people have smoked them, you know. It would be interesting to know what happened to them. That was a beautiful Lovat, silver Lovat. This pipe here, with the flame stem, I actually have. The customer who commissioned it sent it back to me and asked me to sell it. I haven't had the chance to put it up. It's been smoked a few times, but they prefer shorter pipes, and it ended up being a little bit too long for them. So they've said, just try and sell it for them, and you know, we'll put the price towards another pipe at some point. But I just haven't got around to it. I have that lying here somewhere. There we go. What was this pipe? 733. There it is. A beautiful stem on it. It's a lovely pipe. I have to make a point of sticking that one up for sale at some point. I still haven't found your pipe though, Daniel. Yeah. Here's the 2 pipes that I did. There's pipe 700. There's the first tadpole I did. And there's another super grain pipe. There's the skipper, the first one I did, which I've kept. I've got that one still. And this one, that's a gorgeous pipe. That one actually turned into something special. And it was going to be a smooth pipe, but there was issues with the pipe, and I ended up just doing some intricate carving all around and rusticating that carving, and it turned out to be a very, very pretty pipe. A little bit like a bit of a Nording look to it, you know, the hand carved Nordings. Just look at that bird's eye, a stunning tight bird's eye. Beautiful stem. I'm sorry, I'm not seeing your comments at the moment because I'm just doing this. Oh, have I gone too far now? That was another tadpole there. I recently did a triple commission from a customer that bought that pipe, and I ended up sending them all 4 pipes. The grain on this pipe is amazing. This was a half textured and half. Just look at the grain on that. grain on this pipe is just unbelievable. And the other side was rustication. A lot of times with the sort of the freeform type of pipes that I do, I'll spend a lot of time on the base just to give it a really interesting outline. I did that with the chrysalis pipe. You remember that pipe, the chrysalis? Alright, we're almost back to the beginning. Here we are. Yeah. And there we go. Hey, Stevie. So that's a little bit of a retrospective. Let me just go back to some of the comments. Do you same angle airway up for mortise? Not sure what you're asking there, Phil. Tapered bowls, Daniel, is because if you're doing, say, a Dublin shaped pipe where the bowl is tapered, so you need to taper the chamber as well so that you have a consistent thickness of briar. Otherwise at the bottom it's going to be very, very thin and it will get very hot and possibly burn out. That's why you do a tapered. I do tapered bowls sometimes, even if it's a regular shaped bowl, if it just feels right. You know, some people prefer tapered bowls, tapered chambers. Boswell pipes generally have tapered chambers. They smoke very well. They can clog up a little bit sometimes, I find, but flavor wise they give really good flavor. Starting to hate 9mm. You're dreading the Charles Collins stamper. You know, 9mm pipes are not for everybody. You know, it's something which I've specialized in, and it's just what I do. And I sometimes get nervous when I do a thin shanked 9mm pipe because I'm scared that it's going to crack at some point. So a lot of times I'll put a band on the end of the shank just to give it that bit of robustness so that it doesn't split, or even if it does split, it's going to split against the band, so it's not going to go anywhere. That's oftentimes, you know, I do get nervous with 9mm. It does give you restrictions in diameters for sure. Look at the grain. Isn't us being egotistical, it's admiring the product and materials around us. Yes, of course, that's nature's gift, but it's not only that, it's you bringing it out. You know, first of all, when you're designing the pipe to make the best use of the grain, but it's also bringing it out when you stain it in order to get that contrast, to really let that grain burst out and make it almost three-dimensional. There's something in that, you know, that's something which you can admire and you can be proud of. I'm certainly proud of that. When I get a pipe, there's no question that every single piece of briar is different. So so you're going to get different densities. So obviously when you're staining a pipe and you're bringing out that grain, it's the different densities that are allowing you to do that. But even within that, some pipes are still more dense than others, and the grain will absorb more of that stain and it will pop more. Or if you spend a little bit more time on it, so when you're finished doing that pipe, you then sand it again and restain it, it's going to make it pop even more. I generally don't do that because the process that I've got allows me to still have that grain to pop. But sometimes the grain doesn't pop as much, but it still looks great. But you wouldn't call it a high contrast stain. Um, on those ones, if I really wanted to, if I wanted it to be high contrast, I would then sand it again, restain, and possibly do that a few times. And then you will get that grain to pop, even though it didn't pop initially. But yeah, I think it is something to be proud of. It's not egotistical, it's you being proud of your work. Making the best of what nature has given you. I think it's something to be proud of. If you machine up some shank caps, can I use them? For sure, why not? If you want to, we've talked about doing collabs many times, Phil, and it would be an honor for me to do that. If you want to do something along those lines, for sure. I could do a series, if you send a handful of them through, for sure. And, I'll give you a cut of the pipe, the sale price, why not? Or just buy them from you, whatever you prefer. That's interesting, Stamper Tamper. That is interesting about that. If you sandblast a pipe, will the quality of bright or the region of the bright come from affect the sandblast effect? I don't sandblast, so I can't answer you on that one. Yeah, I mean, Troy, 9mm, 6mm, or none, whatever you prefer. It's, Oh, nice, Phil. Yeah, sure, let me know, and I'll send it over. Just tell me how much that shipping is. It's very nice of you. I don't mind paying for it, for the cane. If you want to send the shank caps with it, that would be cool. Yeah, you're talking about the submarine one, Uncle Mike. That one, in fact, I do remember, believe it or not, was a pipe that I did do extra staining and sanding and staining, and the grain on that pipe really, really pops. The shape ended up being interesting, very unique. Floor to wrist, okay, I'll have to do that. Just bear in mind that I'm a big bloke, so make sure the wood is up to it. I'm sure you will anyway, but wow, it's 3 o'clock. I need to be up in 5 hours. Gentlemen, thank you very much as always for joining me. It's been a very enjoyable London calling. I'll do my thank yous. Thank you, Uncle Mike. Thank you, Justin, Phil, Stevie, Stamper Tamper, Syed. Still with us, Syed. How you doing? Again. Lurker Troy, Daniel Leslie, Bull Moose, Stevie Gilmore. Sorry, Stevie Gilmore. Beat John, thank you. Who have I missed? Cole, Big Country Briar. Ed Armchair, if you're still there. Claude Charlin, if you're still there, thank you. And everybody else, thank you very, very much for joining me. It's been a pleasure as always, and I look forward to seeing you next time. All being well, we'll be here next Saturday, and no doubt there'll be some videos in between. Thanks everybody, have a great weekend. Catch you on the next one.